This video is part of a webinar series on Hindudvesha, an educational series to explore and expose systemic Hindu phobia.
I've experienced Hindudvesha in different forms. My experiences of it growing up have been different from what I've experienced as an adult. Today, I'd like to share 3 of those experiences that I've had as an adult. So situation 1, where I experienced Hindu hate, occurred with someone I had considered a friend. Prior to this incident, she and I had had a lot of great conversations, one of which centered around our mutual love for singing. She at one point during our conversations even mentioned saying that she was a born-again Christian, which I did not have any issue with because I thought she was simply providing her background. And in the same vein, I had mentioned to her that I'm an American Hindu. However, her dvesha was made very clear to me the day that she told me that it was her duty as a friend to convert me. Prior to this declaration of hers, she had come to my desk to invite me to accompany her to her church. And at that moment, I still didn't think anything of it because in my mind, we were friends, and implied in friendship is mutual respect and a liking for a person based on who they are. Plus, I had gone to church before with other friends, but they also accompanied me. I made sure that they accompanied me to my, temple, mandir, cultural events. And these friends have also been genuinely interested in learning about Hinduism. Anyway, this particular individual then started to tell me that it was her duty as a friend to share the light with me, that light being Jesus. She told me that she follows a religion that is 100%, and I'll never forget this. She stated she follows a religion that is 100% and told me, while you may believe you are following God, your religion is 99%. And we all know 99%, she told me. We all know 99%. 99% belongs to Satan. Now, I was stunned. I felt shock at first because, it was a comment that came out of the blue, and we had never talked about this before, and she never had struck me as a harsh or judgmental person. But of course, what she said to me, I felt very judged. I also felt anger at the proselytization efforts. And then during that exchange, I immediately realized I was dealing with a very ignorant and religiously arrogant person. So I ended the quote friendship. The second situation I experienced Hindudvesha at work was in the university setting. So the irony here is that higher education is looked upon, at least in theory anyway, as being a bastion of open ideas and learning. The department where I had worked, a supervisor who identified as a very strong Christian, never let a day go by without showing the staff that she's better than everyone because she found God. During one particular Christmas season, she and another staff member who, even though she was married to a person from a different faith, they expected me to help decorate a tree that was brought into the office, telling me that I needed to get into the Christmas spirit. Mind you, in our office at the time, all of us, the staff, were comprised of people of all different faiths. Plus, my colleagues, including my supervisor, knew that I am Hindu. So I was shocked when she said this to me. My supervisor also, she didn't ask or expect my Muslim American colleagues to participate in decorating the tree. I refused to help decorate the tree, and I went into my office to start my workday. My supervisor became visibly upset, and she stopped speaking to me for a while. The supervisor associated decorating a tree with worshiping Christ and never stopped talking about how her church would continuously give money to the poor Hindus in India. So, I was very bothered by that incident. And even though I wanted to tell her off, she was my boss. So I felt very trapped. The last example I wanted to share was what I experienced from a social perspective. I used to socialize with a large group of individuals from a variety of backgrounds, ethnicities, religions, you name it, who, by the way, can all boast highly educated backgrounds, one even being a university professor. This large group of friends were comprised of individuals, as I said, from different religions, but folks at this particular gathering happened to be majority Muslim friends, Muslim American friends. One day at one of their homes, we were having a discussion about something or another, but the conversation quickly turned to religion. So my so-called friends started questioning me about my Hindu beliefs based on what they thought Hinduism is about. So there was already a built-in condescension in their questioning. They kept asking me while laughing, so why do you all worship cows? What is the point of having a red dot? What good does that do? And they kept saying, you're a heathen. They were not interested in hearing my responses to their questions. I definitely stood my ground as I was getting over the shock of being verbally attacked. Of course, I responded back because I always saw myself as coming from a place of being equals with who I thought were friends. So I was very shocked. And I did say, I'm paraphrasing, I do remember saying, guys, this won't be an intelligent conversation because you are all operating from a place of ignorance. I can name off basic tenets and historical information about your faith, but from the way all of you are speaking to me, you have no idea what you're talking about.
The portrayals of Hindus by James Mill continue to be championed today in the mainstream media. Over the last couple of years, Hindudvesha in the media has escalated. There have been and continue to be numerous anti-Hindu news and opinion articles in all the mainstream media outlets. And as a Hindu American, I was deeply offended and upset by these, what I call frivolous, unethical, and biased articles. Most of these pieces were filled with baseless exaggerations about India and Hindu culture. They also contained bigoted or racist statements about Hindus and belittled and demeaned things that are sacred to us. So I'm just going to quickly highlight a particular article which I view as one of the most egregious examples of Hindudvesha. So the Atlantic magazine published an article titled Modi's Kashmir Decision in the latest step in undoing Nehru's vision on August 5th, 2019. This article was written by an individual named Krishna Dev Kalamur, who is now the deputy Washington editor for NPR. In this article, Mr. Kalamur insinuated that the BJP governments and the hundreds of millions of Indian citizens who voted for them are overwhelmed with fanciful ideas and obsessed with drinking cow urine to maintain good health. This wild and baseless exaggeration, which was supported by flimsy evidence, is also a slight against all Hindu Americans who have a favorable disposition towards the BJP or India's current prime minister. So I read many such articles and tried to respond with well-crafted letters to the editor, calling out factual inaccuracies, misrepresentations, and bigotry, but not one of them was published. I tried to bring these articles to the attention of other Hindu Americans and asked them to respond with letters of their own. And, many members of the community were either indifferent or willing to accept some of these articles, the validity of some of these articles. So reading these anti-Hindu articles and not having any recourse and witnessing the community's apathy caused me a great deal of trauma. And, as a result, I no longer read many mainstream publications. I also stopped using Facebook and quit most WhatsApp discussion groups.
So growing up in America, disrespect of foreign civilizations is baked into the education system at all levels. Starting in elementary school, I was taught a history built on white supremacism. We learned all about Columbus sailing west across the Atlantic in 3 tiny ships to trade with Indians, but we got pablum on how the Christian, Catholic, capitalist, settler colonizers used manifest destiny to expand their dominion while the Indian was eradicated from their new world. But in elementary school, we're taught Indians helped the pilgrims at Thanksgiving. In reality, it was 300 years of near genocide against the indigenous people of this land, the American Indians. The public education system facilitates the erasure of real history and the conflation of the Hindu and Indian identities. We weren't even given a hint of the hundreds of millions of Hindus who were murdered, captured, enslaved in order to create the Mughal Empire, right? We don't even learn about that at all. In middle school, it is not just the biased history, but the accumulating microaggressions in popular culture, where we only had Apu at the 7-Eleven with a hard accent, to the continued bullying of Hindu youth to this day. We're only scratching the surface. We're going from Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492 to Columbus sold 9-year-old Indian girls into sexual slavery. It is written in his own words, in his journals. And Mahmud of Ghazni is very much like Christopher Columbus in that he documented his barbarity against Hindus in his own words, in his own journals. Yet they try to portray us as the patriarchal beast. The colonial roots of Hindudvesha goes deep in the education system. In high school, the first advanced placement course I took was European history. It is no accident or lie that winners write the history, but they also project their narrative. I didn't get a real understanding of Bharat or Hindu history until recently, thanks to independent reading and because of the Hindu University of America. And in academic spaces, we are ridiculed for using Bharat, while the Caliphate, the Mughal Empire, Zion, Mecca, Aslan, Khalistan, Jongwo, other civilizations celebrate and are allowed to celebrate, encouraged to celebrate the names they give their aspirational selves and societies. In college, there is no Hindu history, but there are some South Asian studies. There's definitely Jewish studies and Muslim studies in hundreds of Christian universities, Catholic colleges, divinity programs, you name it. When I was at the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, and CSUN, Cal State Northridge, I was not aware of the Hindu Students Council. It existed, but I was not aware of it. But I was aware of the Muslim Students Association and the dozens of Christian clubs. Having gone through the American public education system, I know we need a Hindu University of America. I know Hindudvesha exists and has been cultivated in the public education system, not just in America, but all over Europe, all around the world, including in India with our first education minister, right, Abdul Kalam Azad. White Christian America had a general disrespect for other cultures and civilizations, but many have stood up and gained stature through civil rights movement, through protests, through myriads of tactics and strategies. But we as Hindus haven't stood up yet. We haven't gotten our act together. We haven't even convinced the majority of Hindus that Hindudvesha exists, right? We're talking about in the chat, should we even call it this? What is it? It exists in this complicated and nefarious way. In this webinar, your word of mouth is another step in changing that narrative, and I'm happy and proud to be a part of it.
Sharing an experience that I had as a teacher in a New York City high school. My student, this student was mixed of, I suspect, a Hindu background, definitely Indian and African. And she says to me, I don't like you because you are a Hindu. My mom says you Hindus are devil worshippers. So my response was, I'm sorry you feel that way. I think we should speak with the guidance counselor on this. Now I put my little emoji there. I was not angry because I'm the adult in this situation. I felt deep pain and deep sorrow and deep sympathy for this child that I was looking at, and could see how her mind was thwarted, you know, with religion. She'd come from a Pentecostal background. And I had the dad come in, and the dad was so embarrassed. He's like, I never taught you this. The mom and the dad had split. So I never taught you this. And here was the child, you know, with a different kind of mindset. And we all come from the Caribbean, mind you. And then this other kid of mine, he is mixed. He was like Rastafari, and I suspect his mom was Christian. He says to him, Miss, are you a coolie? And I was like, yes. You remember what that means in Trinidad, right? Now, the word coolie in Trinidad is a derogatory term, as you would say the N word in America. For us, it's a deeply problematic term. But over the years, just like an in group would use the N word for themselves, I learned that when I came teaching, and the kids would use the N word, and I was like, no, you can't say that. Miss, we can say that to ourselves. Other people can't say that to us. And in Trinidad, it was the same thing, because we can use this word, and we even use it now in Trinidad, really. Both we can use if we are of the in group, then you don't feel any kind of, that negative feeling. So this kind of showed me here I was the adult, and these were kids who could so openly demonstrate a level of dvesha of their teacher's identity. That was very troubling. But like I said, I did not feel anger because I was a teacher. But I have been subject to this in the adult world. And I've dealt with it, as I've told my colleagues here at Hindu University of America. I've learned to be a bully over the years. That if you bully me, I bully you right back. And I've stood my ground.